meeting. Stella, can you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first order of business, we have a consent agenda, minutes from the March 31st, 2022 meeting and oath to bills and payroll.
I move we accept the minutes from March 31st and the oath to bills and payroll.
A second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Dorothy, do we have any interested citizens in the audience or in the room? Phoebe, do you have anything you want to say?
Let the minutes reflect that the first.
Okay, we'll turn to Stella for the student representative report.
Okay. So yesterday, Shaker Lane had their second school safety drill. In developmentally appropriate scenarios, students and staff practice evacuating the building in a safe but quick manner. They also had a discussion on ways to barricade their classroom doors, and they would like to give their thanks to Detective Janakis, Detective O'Donoghue, and Police Officer Wodzinski for coming over to Shaker Lane to provide support for the school safety drill. Shaker Lane will also be holding their Spring Fest, which was formerly known as Winter Fest, the Friday evening once we return from April vacation, and they would like to invite families to come and enjoy a fun-filled night with a chance to pie the principal and friends. So look out for that. Russell Street students in all grades have completed their English Language Arts MCAS tests. The teachers are very proud of how hard the students have worked to complete these tests, and after break, they will begin their math portion of the MCAS. Russell Street is planning and prepping for the rituals of spring. They have a book fair, field day, and grade level field trips that they are very excited about. At the middle school, English Language Arts MCAS is also done for all the grades, and they will also be doing their math MCAS after break. They will also be offering an end of the year trip for the 8th graders after 2 years without the Washington, D.C. trip. They will do a day trip to New Hampshire with cave exploration and a dinner and dance cruise to end the day. The 8th grade promotion ceremony is currently scheduled for Friday, June 17th, with more details to come soon. At the high school, there's a lot going on. Today, during our Flex Block Advisory period, all the students saw and got a presentation about carbon footprint, and we learned more about the environment and how to protect it. This past weekend was the high school show, Cinderella, and it was a great return to high school musicals as we've known them in the past. Sports are fully in session now, and there's practices after school. Students are very excited about that. There was a blood drive on Tuesday hosted by the National Honor Society, and they got 35 participants and only one was deferred. So they did very good. On April 27th at 7 p.m., there is going to be a lip sync battle fundraiser for Littleton Drama Department at LHS, so watch out for that. And on May 2nd, there will be the caps and gowns that are distributed to seniors. The seniors have been making their college decisions and are starting to recognize that they only have 20 days left in high school. So wish them luck as their time comes to an end. Thank you.
Thanks, Stella. All right. Any other points of recognition?
Yeah, Matt, just one, I'd like to acknowledge the Votes in Education Fund for their continued support of our school system. There's an enclosure in your package, and in this year alone, they've donated $14,850.99. Longer than I've been here, they've always been able to provide funding to our staff that submit requests for various activities in their classrooms. There's a list of activities that were approved for winter, and since it's not on the screen, I'll do it quite quickly. Shaker Lane preschool music movement enrichment program, music enrichment for special needs students. Shaker Lane diverse and multicultural books for an anti-racist classroom. Littleton Middle School, the perseverance and courage of women when faced with adversity. Littleton High School, Summit Run Spanish board game, visit from a survivor of the Cambodian genocide, launching French readers, and expanded library, theater class, starter kit, and volleyball club. They're just a tremendous support to our schools. As I said before, actually during our budget hearing, we were so fortunate to have these groups in town that continue to support our schools. The experience of our students would be quite different if we didn't have the support of these groups. So thank you to Littleton Education Fund and to all the families that support that fund.
Moving on, next order of business would be our presentation of the state of the curriculum.
That's Liz.
I'm sorry.
On the math of the new Carous program.
You know what? Like, what
Be
is
quite a jump.
Oh, yeah. We're keeping on your toes like that. I think so too.
We have
Are you prepared?
in the world. You can do it.
All right, so I'm Elizabeth Rigo. I'm the 6th through 12 math curriculum coordinator. I'm also a teacher at the high school. So next slide. So we're going to start with some middle school accomplishments. So first we have Cara Rice, who has been teaching in a math lab classroom for several years now, and she's been doing a fantastic job. She works with small groups in 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade. And in these small groups, she's able to make strong connections, provide extra one-on-one support for students on what they are learning in their math class. She's able to reteach concepts and have students practice their math skills that may be challenging for them. She's able to develop relationships and engage students in math with hands-on lessons and activities. And she's able to provide extra support and fill in any gaps that may exist, which has been especially helpful during the pandemic. Teachers are using technology in their classrooms to help students prepare to take the math MCAS on the computer. Teachers are continuing to give students practice MCAS problems along with exemplars to help students be prepared with the various types of problems that can be seen on the test. They're also continuing to review MCAS results to ensure that all of the necessary content is being taught in order for students to be successful on the MCAS. Teachers have been participating in various PD modules since December. Some teachers participated in a book module to read and implement ideas from math books to help engage students in the classroom. Other teachers participated in mental health, UDL, and project-based learning modules. Teachers were given various ways to learn, implement, and discuss. Teachers are engaging students using online games and activities, and are incorporating more projects and hands-on activities. They're also giving real-world applications to their classes with various activities and projects, including a ratios and proportions activity involving shadows, a scale drawing activity, cartoon strips, educational posters, and a March Madness statistics project. And you'll see some of these projects on this slide. Teachers have also been teaching with the new interactive TouchView TVs. They're using technology to practice math on the computer for MCAS, as stated previously. They're also using programs such as Desmos, Google Classroom, Lookit, Kahoot, Kami, ClassKick, Gimkit, Equatio, Quizzes, Google Maps, Breakout EDU, and also the online textbook and resources to engage students and enhance their understanding of the math concepts. Students also explored various ways to program iRobots to draw geometry shapes, and you can see that in one of these pictures as well. Teachers are doing quick check-ins throughout their classes to see how students are doing and feeling. They're giving students more breaks as needed, and they're finding various ways to make strong connections with students. The 8th grade are participating in the Scholastic Hardest Math Contest, and students complete fun, extra challenging problems and have the opportunity to win prizes such as a laptop or money towards a college savings plan. 9 8th grade students correctly answered Challenge 1 and are eligible to complete Challenge 2, and the winners will be announced in May. Next slide. So now on to the high school accomplishments. So starting with our advanced placement classes. So 35 students took the AP statistics exam last year. 85.7% of these students received a 3 or above. This year, we have 2 sections of AP stats, and 34 students will take the AP exam in May this year. For AP calculus, last year, 21 students took the exam. About 62% of the students received a 5, and about 81% of the students received a 3 or above. This year, we have 2 sections of AP calculus as well, and 30 students will take the AP calculus exam in May this year. Both courses at this time have finished the curriculum, and will use the rest of the month of April to review the curriculum and become efficient test takers. Julie Elmore has been chosen for the 5th time to grade AP calculus exams in June in Kansas City. She's able to learn from the training she receives and also from the informal exchange of ideas that happens when AP teachers from around the country get together and share experiences with each other. We are continuing to prepare students for MCAS testing by practicing various types of MCAS questions in class, using exemplars, and practicing math problems online with our students. As a department, we are able to review the MCAS results and review the results of the individual questions. And from this, we are able to see what adjustments and changes need to be made in our curriculum. We continue to be aligned to the Common Core. We also had Ray Streeter volunteered in the first part of this year during the school day to help students who may be struggling in math or just have a question on a particular topic. And we hope to have him return again next year. PD modules are being used to learn more about UDL, project-based learning, and engagement. Some teachers participated in book studies in various PD involving trauma, reimagining assessments, connecting and calming strategies, and what great teachers do. College prep statistics continues to offer dual enrollment with Middlesex Community College, where students can receive 3 college credits. Teachers at the high school were also given TouchView interactive TVs. Students in some of our classes are using an adaptive online program called ALEX. With this program, we're able to see what the students know and what they're ready to learn. This helps fill in any gaps that could potentially exist, and it can also help students advance in math. Practicing problems with the online system also gives our students the opportunity to practice working on math problems on the computer to prepare taking the MCAS online. Some teachers are using Desmos to explore different topics in math with various activities. Google Classroom's being used for notes, assignments, reminders, and resources. The online textbook and resources are being used in courses where it is available. And AP Calculus and AP Statistics classes are using AP Classroom for additional resources, including videos, question banks, and assessments. Teachers are incorporating more projects. Some examples include a map project, practicing vocabulary, Fantastic Challenge project to find the cost to manufacture a can of soup with 3-dimensional formulas, a Barbie bungee, a detective project using trigonometry, just to name a few. We have a new financial algebra course that was implemented at the start of semester 2. Students are able to learn about real-world financial applications, and we are hoping this will be a full-year course starting in the fall. New England Math League ran again this year. It's 6 questions held 6 times a year from October through March, and it's held after school in the cafeteria. This year, 137 students participated in NEMO at least once this year. 30 students participated in all 6 contests that were offered. Students from all grades and all 6 math teachers participated in NEMO this year. This year's high scorer solved a total of 22 out of 36 problems correctly. Archie, the registered therapy dog, has been working with Julie Elmore this year and has been a great addition to LHS. He has a calming presence wherever he is, and students and faculty light up when they see him. Next slide. And then on this slide is just an overview of last year's grade 10 math MCAS results. So Littleton did better than the state on every single question. 82% of students are meeting or exceeding expectations, which is not a huge difference from the 2019 pre-pandemic MCAS. This past year, 1% did not meet expectations, but this is an improvement from the 3% that did not meet expectations in the 2019 pre-pandemic MCAS. Next slide. In just some current focus areas, so we continue to make adjustments due to the pandemic. We're identifying where students have gaps with self-diagnostics or programs such as ALEX. Some students are struggling with math fluency. Teachers are incorporating warm-ups, skill drills, spiral reviews, remember this sessions, and activities to help students with this. Students are completing activities and assignments in groups and independently. With remote and hybrid learning, many students were able to use their notes on all assessments, so teachers are working with students on study skills and methods. They're also working with students on when it is appropriate to share work with peers and how to use their time effectively when completing assignments and assessments. Teachers have been very gracious and flexible over the past few years. While they continue to be understanding, teachers are also working with students on how to meet deadlines and submit assignments on time. Teachers are helping students with their organizational skills, and all teachers are encouraging students to take risks, ask questions, and just overall provide a safe learning environment for students. For MCAS, we're continuing to do math on the computer. We're continuing to implement various types of MCAS problems and exemplars, and we're ensuring all students have access to the math MCAS reference sheet. We continue to implement technology in the classroom, including ALEX, so we'll continue to use this in some of our courses. It has been helpful for a student who may be struggling, but also for a student who wants to learn more. We continue to implement real-world applications to help engage students and see how they can use math in their own lives. We've been updating the graphing calculators, which is an important resource at the high school, and we want it to be available to all students. This calculator is also an option to use for the online MCAS test. Over the past year, the 6 through 12 math teachers have been meeting to review our courses, discuss content, and ensure vertical alignment. This has also been essential to discuss what students know and what they need to know to be successful in their math classes. I've also been working with a team of teachers from Russell Street and Shaker Lane to find a new elementary math curriculum. And I look forward to continuing to collaborate with the teachers from K through 12. And thank you so much for your time tonight.
Sure. Any questions?
Quick question.
Sure.
I have to, as a former high school math lead myself, my ears perked up when I heard about the math team or whatever, the 6 questions over the course.
Sure.
Sounds like there was a huge participation rate.
Yes.
Over 100 students answered at least one.
Yes,
It's
yes, it was
amazing.
130 students.
That's a
Yes,
lot.
it's
So
really.
they must really promote it proactively
We
because.
do, yeah,
it's
and
a lot.
they actually, the students seem to really enjoy it, and I think they really get into it, because
Yeah.
even if they need to come after school, they always want to, ask if they can go there first, so they really enjoy it, so I'm happy that we're still able to do it, and even through the pandemic last year, we were able to do it online, so we've still been able to offer it, which is really
It's a lot
great.
of fun. I'm glad that
Yeah.
they're into it.
Yes,
Cool,
yes.
thank you.
Yeah, so
When do you go?
like 137 out of roughly 400 high school students, is that right?
Yeah, pretty close. We have 444 this year.
Yeah, that's just an incredible percentage
Right?
of people who are doing extra math.
Right.
You know,
For fun.
It's good for them. So thanks so much for that. It was a really impressive presentation. It seems like there's a lot of good work going on. And so thanks to the teachers and congratulations to the students. There's a couple of things that I just want to say. First off, those touch TVs are awesome.
Yes.
I've just got access to those in my own classrooms and I love those things. I'm really, really impressed with the 65% getting a 5 on the AP exam. That's great. But I'm happier with the number of our students who are taking AP math classes. If they get a 3 or higher, that's great, but the rigor and the expectations is fantastic. I'm glad that so many are challenging themselves. We have so many options. My question is, if we offer, it's an advising question, maybe it's for Mr. Harrington, Dr. Harrington as well. If we offer AP stats, where you take this entire course and then take a test that might give you college credit, we also offer a dual enrollment class where if you pass it, you do get college credit. What's the advising tree for that, for helping a student decide which is the better option? Because I could see where some students would say, I'll just take the class and get the credits I know without the pressure of a test in 2 weeks.
Right. So the dual enrollment is offered through the college prep statistics course, where the AP statistics course I would say it might be a little more work, a little more challenging. It moves at a faster pace. So I guess the college prep level might open it up to more students. But it really is a great opportunity to have that offered where they could potentially receive.
Oh, yeah, I absolutely.
College credits.
I'm glad we offered. I teach, my perspective is I teach a college, I've graded the AP exam, and I also teach a dual enrollment class at Salem High School as a college professor. And what's happened is the dual enrollment, this is the conversation we need to have, I think a bigger conversation, is that sometimes the dual enrollment classes leech off all the AP kids because why take a chance of having a bad day with an exam when you can just take the class and get the credit? So,
I mean, additionally, because we use a weighted GPA scale, the AP courses do
is that,
boost your GPA, and that is a big factor for students.
If you like, just still as you took the words out of my mouth. So a lot of students who will, thank you for this. A lot of students will take AP, especially if they're heading on to selected colleges outside of the state. Dual enrollment in particular to become more compact with our arrangement with Middlesex Community College. We can't guarantee that the college, a private college,
right,
in-state or out-of-state will accept it. It's up to them to decide whether to accept it. Dual enrollment arrangement that we have through the state colleges is exclusive to schools like Salem State, UMass Amherst. So students who already know that they're likely to go to a state school, it may make sense for them and they will want to take a test that they can get. They'll save money potentially having those credits transferred. What we find increasingly though is that a number of colleges, especially very selected ones, even if you take the AP course, like AP Calculus, AP Physics, particularly with calculus, if you're in an engineering program, you go to a really high-end, challenging engineering school, they want you to take their calculus again. As a result of taking our calculus with Mrs. Elmore, you're going to be better prepared for that course. We don't offer calculus at dual enrollment level, but the stats we do. So a lot of kids are really interested in statistics, especially potential business majors, potential future data scientists. So I hope that helps.
that really does, and I appreciate the thoroughness of the answer. We're offering access to college credit two different ways. So I was just wondering how we're advising, but that makes sense. My final question is, Barbie Bungee?
That's me.
That's my stats class.
John's not answering that.
I was in that picture, actually.
It's more of a statement than a question. I guess the question is, what's Barbie Bungee?
I know, so you did the.
Yes, I take AP Stats with Ms. Kern. It's a great course. And for that class, that specific day, it was earlier in the year, but essentially we were trying to figure out using statistical analysis how many rubber bands it would take for the Barbie to get as close to the ground as we could without it hitting it. And so we took measurements, there was lots of math involved, but it was also just a very fun activity where we got to do Barbie bungees.
That's great. I guess I do have one more question, if that's all right.
Sure.
You mentioned there was an outside tutor who came to help. Do we have something I forgot? Do we have a peer tutoring system in place?
We
Okay.
do, yes. Yeah, so
We
Why
do.
also just-
You don't need to come here tonight, Brad.
Sorry. So we do, the answer is we do, okay.
yes, we do.
All right, thanks. Is it NHS? Is that what?
They do it.
It's NHS is a part of it, or a lot of our NHS members are a part of peer tutoring, but it's not specific. Yes and no. There is peer tutoring, and then there's tutoring committee through NHS. So we have multiple opportunities for students to receive tutoring from their business.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was
Like
great.
many districts across the nation, we've had many discussions about dual enrollment and AP courses. And we're trying to decide how do we meet everybody's needs, and I think tonight really revealed what we've been saying for years. Is different students are going different places, and it really depends on where they're going in terms of the value of taking that AP or dual enrollment. So when dual enrollment first started to become popular in high schools, the intent was to transfer AP classes to dual enrollment classes. There was a void that would be created by doing that. So, you know, we feel that we're getting the best of both worlds by continuing to have this.
Thank you.
We have
She will be here this evening, she's just running a little late, so if we can hold off on Meredith's for the health and physical education. She'll be here later.
All right,
We
then
can jump into school start times if you want. I'm sorry, not school start times, let's forget about that. But for now, let's do school choice. FY '23.
go for it.
So in your package, you have a summary of enrollments. And when you look at this page, on the first column, we have the grade. In the second column, we have Littleton resident students, so these are projected for 22-23. Third column, current school choice students that move from grade to grade. The fourth column, projected school choice seats offered for the 22-23 school year. And that's what we're taking a look at this evening. And by statute, we need a motion from the school committee to move forward with school choice for the year. And then really the last column is the one that looks at total numbers in each class. There is a bit of variation. I'll talk about that as I point out a few things too. As you know, enrollment fluctuates from week to week in every school district. Our school district is fairly stable in terms of enrollment. We do have fluctuations throughout the year. So let's take a look at pre-K now. Pre-K, we're at this point in time projecting 76 students. That's 16 more students than we had last year. Preschool is an interesting area to have in a district because we have students coming in during the entire year with early intervention program. And we do have a few families that felt that their child could benefit from a second year of preschool as well. As a result of the increase in 16 students, we will be having to add another preschool teacher and assistant. We hadn't planned for it, but again, preschool is something that's very hard to predict. Kindergarten transition.
Can I ask a question? Do we have space for another preschool class?
We're making space. We're going to have to
Figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
But is that adding another classroom?
We're going to utilize a classroom that's being used for something else.
Okay.
So we'll have a teacher probably with a cart as we maneuver the situation until we see where we're going with the school building project.
Right.
But, and again, we'll wait and see. Is it something that's going to be only for 1 year, and then next year we're going to have a decrease in preschool enrollment again, and we would go back to the current configuration. Kindergarten transition. We're one of the few districts that really offer a transition program anymore. Evaluated it several times since I've been here with the principals that have been at Shaker Lane. We still feel there's value added component to the transition program. So in the 126 that I have in the column, 20 of those students will be tailored for the transition program. So we have 106 students, plus we're requesting 5 school choice students, so that would give us 111 students in kindergarten next year. I'm sure you may be interested in, I'm going to use PTRs, pupil teacher ratios, rather than classroom sizes, so I have percentages, decimals. This is the way it works. So that would give us an 18.5 PTR. Our grade 1 class coming up from kindergarten, so larger bubble class as we call them. We're looking at 131 students plus the current school choice students that we have, which are 6. So we have an enrollment of 137 students, PTR of 22.8. And that's not uncommon in elementary schools.
Yeah, my question would be, do we have a goal or a threshold that we try not to get over
We
on?
do. That's a great question. When we look at class sizes, we not only look at the number of students, we look at the needs of the students as well. So we may use a lower class size and grade size to decide to add another class because of the needs of the students. But typically, we like to stay 25 or below. There are no policies or best practices out there for for actual class size, for many other factors that are for kindergarten in Massachusetts is the only one that has a prescribed maximum class size. That's 25 students, and you can go over that as long as you have a math system.
I would think the conventional wisdom would be that the lower the ratio, the better. The fewer students per teacher, the better, right?
Well, so yeah, it depends. I mean, there are many factors that go in. Actually, research will clearly show you that the most predominant factor in student success at any grade is the quality of teaching they receive. So again, you use your experience, you look at what's happening from grade to grade, and we're fortunate. Grade 2 up, we use map testing, so that gives us some great information to see where we are academically with those students. And of course, as we all know, that's not the only thing to consider. We consider the whole child. So. And if need be, if you look at grade 2, it's a fairly small class next year. If we find that we have more students moving in than anticipated, we may actually reallocate one of the teachers in grade 2 to the first grade, and then we would loop with that class to the second grade, which is a common practice in many districts within the Commonwealth. So grade 2, we're projecting with school choice. We have 3 current school choice students. I'm requesting 7, and please remember, depending on the grade and the age, all of these seats won't be filled. And typically when families look at relocating their students, usually if it's school entrance, they usually focus on kindergarten and grade 1. By the time a student gets in grade 2, there may be other reasons for moving, but it certainly is the same as it would be for kindergarten and grade 1. Relocations are another reason, but it's really that K level where we have students wanting to start school in Littleton and go right through the system. So we got, as you can see, this year we're offering 5 classes, and we have 12 school choice students graduating this year. So the PTR for the grade 2 class with our projected enrollment is 19. Grade 3, we are requesting 4 students, projected PTR of 20.3. Grade 4, openings for 2 students that we would request PTR 20.3. And if I go too fast, just slow me down. And grade 5, we are not opening up any seats, and our PTR will be 23.2.
Can I, just to clarify that, is that because we have 134 already in the system? That's a response to that particular class size? So we're just saying
Exactly.
that.
Exactly. We're being cautious as we move forward. Grade 6, we have 119 students, 4 current school choice. We're like to open up seats for 3 more. Give us a grade enrollment of 126, which is a PTR of 21. Grade 7, we have some students that go to Parker, and the number varies from year to year. So I put down a placeholder of 9 students. So an average 5-year average is about 9 students. So that 123 would be decreased by 9. We have 9 students that are currently in school choice in that grade. We'd like to open up 5 seats, and that would give us a total number of students of 128, which is a 21.3. Grade 8, 123 resident students. We currently have 11 school choice students in that grade. We're not opening up any other seats, so total enrollment for that grade would be 134, PTR of 22.3. See a pattern as you go down, see where our comfort levels are.
Well, can I ask a question about that? Because I'm trying to figure out the pattern. And so grade 8, 7, 8 seem very similar to me. 123 students, current projected students, roughly 10, 9 or 11. But for grade 7, we're asking for 5 additional seats. For grade 8, we're not.
Oh, we could.
Oh, no, I'm just trying to, so is there something different about grade 8? Or is it?
Well, our philosophy is grade 8 is that last year before they hit high school, so we're just keeping our classroom sizes at a level.
I support that. I'm just trying to it seems like those numbers are similar across the board, but one's a request of 5 and one's a request of 0.
Very seldom do we have students actually apply for school choice.
Okay, that makes sense.
And 9 to 12 PTRs have no meaning because we have so many students taking different classes, we have grades being combined, et cetera. So when we look at students who go from grade 8 to grade 9, the Schcmte Tech is a choice for some of our students. I'm using an average of 10 for this year, so that 125 will go down to 115. We have current school choice enrollment of 9, and we'd like to open up 4 seats. That would give us a total of 128 students in grade 9. Grade 10, 107 resident students, 11 current school choice students. Opening up seats for 6, and again, at high school, we very seldom see those seats that fill up every now and again, 2 or 3 students. But a lot of times, grade 9 is usually the only area we take students in. So just so you know that. I was in storage grade 12, follow this now. 103 resident students, 6 school choice students, opening up 7 seats for 160 total. Projected enrollment at all those seats were filled for high school was 502. And that would give us 23 additional school choice students in high school, which most likely would never happen. It's kind of interesting to look at that. Our high school enrollment, though, even without those school choice students, has increased a bit from last year. Well, increased last year. We currently have 444 students in high school. So even with the 23 taken out, so we didn't get any students in high school, we'd still have an increased population. As a result of that, high school has been scheduling for next year already, and Dr. Harrington and I have had conversations about number of students in various classes. We're finding that there's a concern with the number of students in some of our English classes. So I'm seeing what I can do to have a .2 position to the high school next year to cover those students. We'll be in good shape after that. So, any other questions about school choice?
Just Justin couldn't be here tonight. He did want to just, he did have some concerns about the 5 seats for kindergarten, given the number of late people who registered this year for kindergarten. He's worried about the numbers. He wanted to know if it would be more prudent to not offer anything for kindergarten and then see how it goes and then offer it up for first grade.
And I don't want to speak for Justin, but I think the concern, we were both at a CPAC meeting last night, hearing from people who, again, where the PTR for kindergarten was 23, 24 last year, which seemed really big, especially considering what the last couple of years have looked like, either early intervention or preschool. And the concern is that we could, just concern is that we should be proactive in making sure we can keep those classes as small as possible for our residents. I think that's
we can do that. These are projections, whether or not we have a year like we did last year. There's no way to predict that. So it's not common in the 12 years that I've been here. I'm not saying it may have more common. I'm fine with that. We just need to realize that if we don't match the number of seats that we have in the current year, we'll be losing revenue, and that revenue will need to be made up by our operational budget. We've had numerous conversations around the table. In fact, 6 years ago, I suggested that we start weaning ourselves off the dependency on that money so that we have greater flexibility. We have a pretty good idea that our resident enrollment is going to increase with the building that's happening in town. We were never able to do that with the budget pressures that we have. So this year we don't have those budget pressures, so we can certainly not do that.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, one of the things, we would lose that income, but I think we put ourselves in a pretty strong position in order to deal with that if that's the route we wanted to go.
One area that we all need to think about is we have a number of teachers that prefer to send their children to our school district, so having school choice seats allows them a better chance of them getting in. We can't, just open up our schools to teachers and their families, because there would be an inequity with the school choice.
Can I, as we consider that option, and Justin's kind of thoughts, I'm looking at the kindergarten transitional number again, and if the transition is, if 20 of those 126 are transitional students, then we're looking at, in fact, 106 kindergarten students for 5 classes. Is that correct? 6. Okay. So that would be a lower, certainly lower than 20
Correct.
PTR there.
I'm not sure how Justin read that table. So.
Yeah, I don't know. But I have a related question. It's about transition. And again, last night at CPAC meeting, some parents raised the issue that they, that they're hearing that they're. It makes sense to me that a lot of parents are thinking that their kids might need more kids might need transition this year than in past years, simply because of the educational experiences their students have had over the last couple of years. And my question is 20 the number for transition? And if so, if more teachers recommend, if there are more than 20 students recommended by teachers, how do we accommodate that?
But I think there are a couple of things that we need to discuss. Transition, as I said earlier, is something that is offered by most schools. And when you talk to parents that have their children attend transition, by the time they hit middle school, there's kind of a mixed review. And when you talk to parents about transition, I'm sure that conversation occurs with Michelle and the parents, and what they find at times is perfect, it works out well, but sometimes they find that their child may have difficulty finding peers, concerns with social and emotional maturation, etc. So it's not a recipe that works all the time. We have to remember for students with needs, we have multi-tiered systems of support in place. We have special education program and IEPs. Most school districts in Massachusetts use those two methods of dealing with students that have needs and don't bother about the transition. So I'm not concerned, and I certainly wouldn't want to increase or redirect staff for a second transition classroom at this time. I don't think there's a need. Mrs. Kane certainly has indicated.
Excuse me, question.
Yes.
Principal King's raising her hand.
Perfect. Let's hear from Principal King as well.
Thank you, Dr. Clenchey. I did want to answer Brad's question. We have already had those conversations, Brad, with parents in regards to which children we recommended for transitional, and we have narrowed that list down to 20 at this time. So at this time, we are not recommending any more students. We've had those conversations. They were discussed at parent conferences. We have the list. We have a few more parents we're waiting to hear from, but the number will be 20 or less.
Right. Thank you. Again, I have no insight on this. I'm just reporting out a conversation I was had among parents at CPAC last night. So thank you.
I'd like to, go back and revisit K though with, as Angie pointed out, 11 students, total of 6 teachers, 18.5 PTR, which is pretty reasonable. I'm going to make the statement, I don't make it very often, that would be a private school PTR. Quite frank with you, and I'm not sure. I don't have information on whether or not we have any teachers who like to apply for school choice. Okay, but one of the best compliments you can have in a school district is when teachers want to send their own children to a district. To take that away for a year, so it's a tough call.
I mean, the other piece though is that transition class will be joining that kindergarten class in the first grade to make it 131, correct? Not just 111.
Right.
So I think that's more the concern further down the line than it would be for just
Yeah,
next year.
that's a good point.
But 131 is within the range, and that's, we have our stats.
Right.
Over here,
I'm
it's
just-
right within the range of where we're falling. And I guess the question for me is, I absolutely get Justin's point, and I may agree with him, that we should really protect this kindergarten slots, especially for this year, at this time, for residents. At the same time, from the budgetary perspective, it seems that kindergarten this year, people more likely want to come in. And then if we do count this revenue, having them in the system for 8 years or 12 years, having those 5 move through is beneficial to the system. In addition to ways that they may increase their diversity in other ways, or just bring different perspectives and things like that.
True. I mean, if we decide not to add any seats, we have any teachers that would like to send their child to our district, they would have to wait until grade 1, which is a bit of a hardship. But if it's at a point, I most certainly apply for school choice.
I guess my one follow-up question, is I think I can speak for Justin, but also for myself. Part of the concern with this is that there was a surge in applications towards it in the summer. Is that or is that right? Can you remind us what happened last year?
Not last year. We came off a year of a pandemic. I know the time span seems to be compressed. But more correctly, we had a number of families that were waiting for us to make decisions in terms of how we were going to start the school year. We had many families that had significant trepidation coming back to school with no mitigation strategies. So the process of confirmation was really slow, and was rightly so because of the pandemic. We did have a number of families that made a decision in later August, and we had those families in mind, but we did have some move-ins that we did not know about, which is really not common because when people buy houses with young children in this day and age, they usually contact the school system right away because most of the time they move to a community because of the school system. But for some reason that didn't happen last year. That could be pandemic related.
Michelle has her hand raised again.
Joe?
Thank you, Dr. Clenchey. One thing I might want to add, if we wanted to consider it, Dr. Clenchey, is maybe we could hold out on school choice until mid to late August for kindergarten, because we'd have a better handle on it. Because I know the staff, really appreciate having their kids come to our school, and that could open up a few spots, as opposed to waiting until first grade. At least we'd have a better handle on the numbers by mid to late August. Just a suggestion.
That's a great suggestion. The school choice law states that we need to make decisions prior to the end of June. So we don't have the latitude that one would open this area. So I mean, we have to be in compliance with law. So we could wait it out a little longer. But I didn't close the policy, the package for the cruising as well. So I mean, the big question, I guess, tonight is do we exercise greater caution and not open up school choice seats for kindergarten this year, see what happens, and bite the bullet if there's a loss of it. Or do we lower it to 3? We have many options here.
I mean, I'm fine personally with a compromise. Going down to 3 would be, I think shows us we're being a little proactive, but I also, being understanding that our own educators may benefit from having a few seats open. But I'll defer to the committee. We can take a vote.
Compromise seems like the best way to go, I would think. The best of both.
So I'm prepared to make a motion, and I'm fine with that. And are we okay with the seat offers for the rest of them?
Yes.
I am, but we have to discuss.
Yeah, I don't have any issues with any other class.
I do like that we have a couple of grade levels where we're responding to the numbers and saying, hey, we don't need to add any more of those. I like that. being responsive there.
Yeah, I mean, I think generally, and I appreciate what you said, Dr. Clenchey, earlier, but I do tend to think that a lower teacher to student ratio is generally a good thing, let's say all other things being equal. So I would want to err on the side of that, of not pushing the envelope too close to the 25 or so. But I think I'm okay with these numbers, just bearing that in mind.
And Jen, there is it's kind of funny because we all know when there's too many kids in a class, and it's just hard to say. For example, when I first started teaching in high school, 4,000 kids in our classes weren't that bad. Then I moved to a middle school, and I was in a portable, and I had 30 to 40 kids in each class. So I had, that was too many. So I mean, that's kind of common sense. It wasn't, again, it was something they had to do because of budget. But again, we have to remember, and we do that when we're looking at earlier grades, this is the first experience of our families and our children in our school system. We want to do whatever we can to make sure it's a positive experience.
So Matt, in terms of the motion, would it be appropriate for me to move to accept the projected the school choice seats offerings as presented with the one exception of changing kindergarten transition from 5 to 3? Is that a probably worded motion?
I think that'll work.
So then that's what I move.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. That brings us back to Meredith Barry's going to tell us a little bit about the health and physical education curriculum.
Oh, thank you for your patience.
Not a problem
Many
at
of you know
all.
I wear many hats. The one that I was just wearing was not for this district. I'm actually coaching my daughter's middle school softball team. We beat the rain. We did not win the game, but we are dry. So.
Good job.
Now, I normally start my presentations with a little quick movement break. Is this a good time
Oh,
for it?
yeah, that's
Stand up
perfect.
real quick.
Oh, I love it.
Do a quick stretch. I know some squats. What
Love
you
it.
guys choose today is a choice.
Make sure these get on camera.
Okay.
Very low.
Oh, crap.
Here for you. I got
Love
you.
it. Now my watch will stop bothering me. So
I
have to
know,
stand
right?
up.
Yes, almost there. Right. Okay, thank you so much for your patience. I really do appreciate it.
I don't know why it's doing this. I'm sorry. It's okay. I am sharing our curriculum. She's trying to get us to get a whole different presentation too.
So that's fine.
You're not allowed.
I mean, Elizabeth can do mine. She's pretty. I'm actually really good at math. I don't know if any of you know that. My secret talent is math.
Yeah. Should we have Stella sing a song from the show?
Oh, that's
I
fine.
would rather not.
Yeah. You don't want me singing the song, that's for sure.
That's not your secret talent.
That's not my secret.
So what we're saying, it was an amazing show. We had, I think, almost 1,200 people attend, or 1,200 tickets sold over the course of the weekend. So congratulations to the actors and this crew and to the director,
Yes.
Adam. And
Adam, yeah. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
That was it.
I think everyone waiting. Okay, so I am here for the Health and Physical Education State of the Curriculum. I think this is like my 14th time doing this. I've
It's
been
good
here
for
a
a lot of
while.
us.
I've been here a while. So, this year was like no other, and as I'm sure we have all heard. We are as part. Thank you. I kind of broke it down into just a few different topics that just to go over. So, major accomplishments that we had. We were hoping that we were going to have the updated curriculum frameworks, but they are not out yet. We did hear last that they should be coming out this spring. So right now, the frameworks that we are working from are from 1999, which, I mean, let's party like it's 1999, right? But it is very outdated. We all know that health is always changing, and so we are doing the best that we can, still following the frameworks because that is what we are doing. But we have moved from the content-based to the skills-based with still using those curriculum frameworks. We have done that for the past few years. We are transitioning back to the more normal delivery of curriculum. It was tricky, especially in the PE area where we couldn't share equipment, wiping down everything in between. Everything was taking a lot longer in between classes to make sure that we were keeping everything safe. And so while we are still practicing good hygiene, we do not have to do as many during the transitional periods. So we are able to go back to that normal delivery. In my classes and in the health classes at the middle school, we are doing more hands-on activities, making sure that they're doing more collaborative work, more group work. We were able to bring back the signs of suicide, and we're changing it up a little bit at the middle school level. So this year they screened the 6th and 7th graders, but moving forward, it's going to be the 6th and 8th graders. Because those are the transitional periods, just as we've been doing at the high school with the 9th graders and the 12th graders.
Can you explain what the screening is?
Yes, so the Signs of Suicide is a program that we have done for years. And it's just questionnaires that they are, students are asked to just see if they're at a higher risk for suicide or depression. And we have found many that have needed some sort of assistance, maybe not necessarily suicidal, but just mental health so that we can get them the help that they need. And that is worked through with the guidance department as well, obviously, and the counseling departments. So we work together with that.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And then thankfully, again, we were able to bring back the youth risk behavior survey. The last time that we did this was right before the shutdown, so we never got the results from those tests because it just wasn't on anyone's radar at that point. Clearly, we were in a global pandemic. So I'm really excited to get those results so that we base our curriculum off of that so that we can gear our topics more towards what our students are needing. So again, the 6th and 8th graders took that anonymous survey, and then the entire high school also took that survey as well. Just to go over a few extra things, the middle school was also able to bring their fitness stations back, which was really helpful just to kind of keep that part of the curriculum going. PALS came back, which was formerly known as Best Buddies. We were able to bring that collaboration back together this year. And the Trisha Bonacor actually advises, I don't think it's the right word, but the archery club, which has 32 participants, and they recently were able to work with Parks and Rec, and they were able to go on an archery field trip, which, as we know, field trips were put on hold, and so they were able to bring that back as well. So that was very exciting for them as well. So our current focus is that obviously we're going to update that curriculum as soon as we get those new frameworks, and more so this year, we're filling the gaps, and I'm sure that you have heard this, and I really don't like using the word gaps, because what we have learned in the past is just going to be different from here on out because of what we have learned and what we have experienced in the past few years. So we are just meeting the students where they are. I am looking at them as a whole, and our whole department is saying, where are you? What do you need from us? And how can we make you a better student? Because right now, especially, coming back from all of this and trying to get back into a quote unquote normal delivery of instruction, is that we need to be able to help the students to understand what being a student is. And I think that that has been a struggle for everyone. And so it goes along with that whole social emotional piece to say, where are you? What do you need? How can I help you? Here are some strategies. Let's work together. So that's really what we have been focusing on for this current school year and even into next year as well. So our professional development, it was really hard to go out to conferences. A lot of them were virtual. And to be honest, me personally, sitting in front of the screen, it was just not what I can get out of a conference. It's not the same thing. You can't go, you can't network. So we had some really amazing professional development offered by the district this year. So these were just some of the modules that we were able to choose from. A book share model, which we had a choice, and then we could share whatever nugget that we got with our colleagues who also chose that module. Mental health, which I actually participated in this one, which is really cool because there were different podcasts and videos and articles, and that you could read them and then kind of come together with some colleagues and say, what did you learn? What did you pick up? Which one did you listen to or read? And then project-based learning, also using the UDL, as I'll get to in a minute. But having all those choices and podcasts, videos, articles, what works best for you, all about project-based learning. And then there was also another module that was put together by the Northeast Professional Educator Network, and they provided what was called an STAGR conference, which was the virtual conference on standards, targets, assessment, grading, and reporting. And we were able to kind of go through the different tasks in that conference. We could watch videos, talk to colleagues about it, and that was helpful if that was something that you were interested in. So this was all choice that we could work with. And then I actually participated in a specific UDL training exposure, maybe, I guess might be a better word, where it's very interesting, where you would take all these different choices for students to learn, whether maybe they're a better auditory learner, maybe they're a better visual learner, and they can have all these different choices to choose from, and they all, the objective is the same, but the pathways are different. And so that's something that I always like to give students choice. Something similar of reading an article or listening to an article. Sometimes it's the same article, sometimes it's completely different, but it's the same topic, but the objective is the same. So that was just a professional development that we had participated in that I really enjoyed. So I just have some pictures for you to kind of share. So the next slide, please. So at Shaker Lane, you can just see that this is it. To me, this like brings joy to me because you see them jumping and playing and being with other people because this is what it's all about. They need to collaborate. They need to be able to work together. And they're jumping at their stations. So that was at Shaker Lane and at Russell Street. They were playing floor hockey, and they're just obviously using their floor hockey skills where they're passing and shooting. And then at the middle school, we have some pictures of the archery field trip that they went on, and a big thank you to the LMS PTA, the magazine rack, and then right in that gym lobby, they got some new furniture. They also do journaling at the beginning of their health classes. And they always have instant activities. So these are just some examples of their instant activities and then collaborative games. And again, it's just nice to see things back to quote unquote normal. We know what normal is anymore. And then at the high school, we just, I actually so excited because I just got the TouchView TV. And so we were writing on the TouchView, and I was so excited that I got to work with them. So just some pictures from my class from just the other day, actually. And then we just have they're playing, it's like so exciting, and they're helping each other, working each other, lifting. And so it really, seeing these pictures really brought joy because it feels like we are back. Anybody have any questions for me?
Hey, go for it.
I'm like, Brad, I look at Brad. Like, Brad, what do you got for me?
I do have a question. So it astonished me that the frameworks haven't been updated since 1999. Have you seen a draft of what's coming?
I'd asked, but it's like, hush, hush. I know. I don't know why I think, I'm like, well, maybe if I'll ask, like, I get it. Like, I don't know why I think I'm special, but.
That's, because I know there were multiple drafts of the history ones that I saw when they were coming out.
The
We were
original-
greatly improved by getting kind of feedback from the field. And
The original date was spring of 2020. And immediately it was obviously put on hold, which I completely understand it. But at this point, you would think that between Zoom and they would have something.
It also means they should have had them almost ready by spring of 2020.
That's what you would think. I
Do
just
we-
stand here smiling.
Is there any, I mean, you're talking about a shift, that we as a district are making a skills-based focus to still teach the content, but focus on, I assume that's where they're going with this?
So I would
I would
assume as
hope.
well. So those were the national standards, but actually, SHAPE is actually updating those as well. So I think that was also part of the whole.
They're holding off on the accrediting agency or
Exactly. So once they realized that the national standards were also being kind of updated and they wanted to make sure that they were aligned. So they wouldn't have to.
Yeah, that makes sense, yeah.
And the department has been going through some of the reorganization as well, the staff leaving, the new staff coming in. I'm sure. It's
Desi?
one area,
From
Desi,
Desi, yeah.
there's one area that probably dropped off because the individual left who was in charge of that issue. The only reason I know that is be the senior social commissioner in charge of all those areas. So, but you know it's true. That happens, then slow down.
Well, I just want to say thanks for the great presentation. I know it's taken all of our teachers a lot of creativity to teach over the last couple of years, but people in your department have really had to be creative. And those TVs are awesome, right?
They're so much fun.
They're so much better smartphones. Anyway, I'll stop about them.
No, I was like having some.
They're really good. Even I can figure
I spent my entire life here and being like, oh, nice. And I can do this.
They can change the size.
I was,
That's fine.
I know.
They're great. I'm glad we have them.
I'm really excited. Yes, I'm looking forward to using more features too.
Thank you for this presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you guys so much.
Okay.
Have a
I'll
nice
see you
break.
next year.
Next on the agenda is the superintendent's evaluation. So we had all the members of the board, including Timlin Rossius, who's worked with Dr. Quenchi over the past year, provide evaluations, and I'll go over the results. So Dr. Quenchi had a student learning goal addressing our continued commitment to the ongoing emphasis of equitable and inclusive learning environments at the district school and classroom level. Certainly we've made some great strides here. We found that Dr. Quenchi has met this goal thus far. Of course, there's always room for improvement, and we want to see continued work towards this. For Dr. Quenchi's professional practice goal, completion of recertification requirements for all administrators and educators are required to complete a recertification program every 5 years, which is based on a required number of course professional development. The board felt that Dr. Quenchi is currently exceeding this goal, just all the professional development offered. Very pleased with that. Switch over there. There. So we also looked at standard 1 instructional leadership. Specific areas we looked at is instruction and data-informed decision-making. Under Dr. Quenchi's leadership, LPS continues to be a high-achieving district as measured by a variety of student outcomes, including MCAS test results, AP performance by LHS students, as well as graduation rates and admittance to and attendance at institutes of higher learning. Dr. Quenchi continues to push LPS to be a leader in using technology to augment the delivery of curriculum. Littleton is on the cutting edge of integrating technology in the classrooms on a daily basis. I feel that Dr. Quenchi is clearly engaged in the process of setting high expectations for teachers and students, encouraging focused PD at 3 levels and monitoring in real time the evaluation of individual instructors. The district collects data from an appropriate variety of sources and utilizes those data, including those that focus on student growth in addition to pure performance, to adjust our approaches in accordance with the larger master plan. Our schools are high performing and they offer a wide variety of curricular and extracurricular options. This in large part is attributable to Dr. Quenchi's leadership. Dr. Quenchi has shown that he is very methodical with decision-making over the past year. He has made sure that he has all the facts and makes an informed decision to help drive the students toward their goals. Dr. Quenchi uses a variety of data to make informed decisions. Some additional criteria that could be considered or shared with the school committee going forward would be analysis of classroom walkthrough data, analysis of staff evaluation, and analysis of student and staff feedback. Overall, we rated Dr. Quenchi exemplary in this area. Any comments from either before I move on to them? No, we're doing good, okay. Standard 2 looks at management and operations, specifically the environment and fiscal systems was where we were focusing. Dr. Clenchey continues to demonstrate a commitment and ability to impact all aspects of students' education and well-being. He does this by focusing professional development on a broad range of educator skills and responsibilities, including social and emotional learning, tolerance and anti-bullying and harassment. We have good systems in place to address the full range of safety, health, emotional and social needs. Given the extremely difficult environment over the past few years, additional focus should remain on the safety, health, emotional and social needs of our students and staff. Additional programming and supplemental resources should continue to remain a focus in this area. Resources should continue to be accessed to focus on closing the learning gap that occurred during the 2021-2022 school year. An external review of resources compared to peers would be nice to see. A market study of staff wages and total compensation, including benefits, would be helpful in determining future compensation to attract and retain the desired talent necessary to run a high-performing school system. A continued proactive strategy in addressing the social and mental health needs of our students and staff in the coming year is strongly encouraged. Dr. Clenchey continues to manage effective budgeting systems. Having wise stewardship of town and state federal funds meant that we could make decisions based only on whether or not spending would advance the district's mission. The school budget is lean and well positioned with a nice emergency fund. The receipt of school choice dollars has helped create the fund, and the process has been managed well. The board felt that Dr. Clenchey scored proficient in environment and exemplary in fiscal systems for an overall rating of proficient on management and operations. The standard 3 focuses on family and community engagement. Specifically, we looked at communication and family concerns. Dr. Clenchey provides clear expectations for and provides support to administrators to communicate regularly with families and encourages the administrators to work with families to reach equitable solutions in the best interests of students. The administration's multifaceted communication with families' COVID cases in the school was effective, though as the school year progressed, the process needed to be streamlined to avoid superfluous information. This is an area where we should always be seeking to improve, both in terms of the district's proactive outreach to families and in our responses to parents with specific concerns and questions. Dr. Clenchey is a strong communicator who always responds to community concerns via email. Proactive communication is difficult to gauge. However, additional opportunities for stakeholders' input would be welcomed by the community. Each school receives weekly communication related to the building. The school committee would like to explore ways to provide more district communication about school improvement plans, and community engagement could be shared outside of school committee meetings. The school committee has been pleased with the superintendent's communication with students and staff in regards to improving the racial and cultural climate and addressing the mental health of students in Littleton Public Schools. The board would like to see continued outreach to the community in these areas. Possible suggestions include community focus groups and opportunities for community seminars. Overall, the board felt that Dr. Clenchey was proficient with standard 3 family and community engagement. The last standard we look at is standard 4 professional culture, specifically communication, continuous learning, managing conflict. Dr. Clenchey continues to demonstrate that he is an effective leader that creates an environment of constant professional growth and improvement for himself and his staff. Dr. Clenchey communicates clearly and effectively with his staff. He has shown over the past year that he is invested in making sure that all staff are regarded in his decision-making. Dr. Clenchey shows that the staff he is open and ready to talk and hear their thoughts and concerns. He draws regularly on his decades of experience as an educational leader, but is open to suggestions from staff and is willing to consider new approaches and practices. Professional development is provided to staff that is both relevant and that challenges them to improve their skill set. This is a significant reason why Littleton Public Schools continues to be one of the top public high schools in the state. one possible suggestion from the school committee would be to analyze staff feedback to determine the effectiveness of PD days, to determine areas where they can be improved. Again, overall, the school board found Dr. Funch to be proficient in this area. Going back to the top of my report, for the total evaluation, the school board found Dr. Funch proficient. I can just say, I'm very grateful having worked with Dr. Funch over the past 6 years, and I continue to be impressed with his stewardship of Littleton Public Schools. As Littleton Public Schools rebounded from the challenges of the 2020-2021 school year, students and staff entered the school year with a mix of feelings and emotions. While many were anxious to resume public education prior to the pandemic, some were hesitant and had more concerns. Dr. Funch provided the leadership to alleviate concerns among students and staff and quickly got both the academic and social aspects of LPS back on track. Dr. Funch continues to be a stalwart leader that this community can rely on and trust to lead Littleton Public Schools to meet the challenges of present and future. The school board continues to be grateful for his strong leadership of Littleton Public Schools. After that, I'll open it up to any board members who want to have any thoughts or comments.
No?
First of all, Matt, thanks for pulling this together, Matt.
Yeah.
These aren't easy. I'm just gonna say I really appreciate all the superintendent's done. It's speaking only about this last year, it's been a trying year, and we've needed to have a trusting, close relationship where we can have honest exchange of views. Sometimes we agree on things, and sometimes we disagree as a group, but I think we've been able to always put the interests of the district first, and I think your leadership has been really helpful in that. And so I just want to say thank you. And I've done a lot of these evaluations in school systems, and just to know for those people who aren't familiar with it, like proficient means like really freaking good. Like, we're meeting our very, very high standards. And we're just, I think we're fortunate to have you in this team. Thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah, I would echo that. Thank you for all that you do for us, and you're definitely a trusted leader.
Yep, thank you very much. Thank you for the feedback. We've had quite a year together, and I consider myself to be very, very lucky to have the group I have on this table. We have shouldered a lot of responsibility, taken in a lot of information, dealt with very polarized views on what we should do, what we shouldn't do, trying to analyze the science that seems to differ from source to source, so to speak. And we had great conversations, and sign of a strong team is one who speaks their convictions and work together to find solutions. I'm very proud of what we've done together as a team. It is a team. I have separate roles. Sometimes they intertwine. You have your own roles, but when it comes right down to it, it's how we work together. If we're committed to working together and focus on making our schools the best they can be, then our students and families will continue to benefit. So, thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Funch. We appreciate all you do. That brings us to old business. We have discussion on school start times. I know myself and Brad were looking at school start times at the beginning of this school year, thinking that it was going to be, everything was back to normal and we were going to have lots of time to work on this. We did some initial looks at certain possibilities, but we never got able to really delve into the deep questions, set up some focus groups, community groups. But I'll open it up to other board members if they have any thoughts of whether we'd like to, now that it looks like we are really coming out of COVID or at least dealing with a lot less than we were in the fall.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have much, I haven't done much research other than sort of, preliminary thinking and doing some research about it last year when I was a candidate. But I do know that it's a strong issue in our town. I think our start times, for the high school and middle school are relatively early compared to most of the rest of the state and the country. And I do think there are some very strong feelings among a very large chunk of our town. So I think it's very worthwhile to explore options.
I agree with that. I would suggest that this isn't going to be the committee,
Correct.
right, in 3 weeks. And once we have our new members, I think it'd be great for us to have a conversation about because we need the process right.
Yeah, yeah.
And we need to think about that. I have ideas of how to do that. We'll get some bylaws, we'll get amendment or policies about the ideas of setting up a subcommittee, maybe running it like we do, like a principal search where we have members of the community are involved, and there are ways to have a real process here. Because I think we need to look at this once and for all, and look at the science. Look at follow the science again. That'll be fun. Surprisingly, they disagree. We can have an open conversation. It's not rushed. It's not only in these hours. The community's involved, and I would suggest we open the lens as broadly as we can. This committee's wanted to look at the calendar more broadly. I think we should find a way, once the new committee's in panel, to have a 6-month-long conversation that's a clearly defined process that leads to a motion by a particular day. And maybe the motion is not to do anything.
Right.
But we need to think it through.
Yeah.
I just don't know. I'm not ready to make a decision now with us on this around this table and how to do it.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think we need to get our new members in place, settle ourselves, but I would soon after that like to maybe think about, as you say, a schedule with benchmarks and deadlines and deliverables, and probably try to work backwards from a point where we have to make a decision that would be soon enough to impact. Obviously, it's not going to be this coming school year, but like, are we going to make changes or not starting in the 2023-24 school year, and then figure out when we need to make decisions by, and then work backwards and come up with that plan. And I agree, we should cast a wide net in terms of input. I like the idea of maybe focus groups. Obviously, I'd like to talk to principals, teachers, families, students.
Are raising their
I
hands.
do think that it's very important to make sure we get the students' voice.
Yes,
Some sort of survey or anything like that, because like the teachers are affected, but we are also the ones that are waking up and having to learn at this time. But it's a weird line to walk, because it is very difficult waking up that early and being able to function at and expected to take tests, do work at classes start at 7:25 in the morning. But on the other side of it, so many people do participate in a bunch of extracurricular activities, and a bunch of students work after schools, and many have lots of homework. There's a very high percentage of the high school that takes a rigorous course load. And it's hard to figure out which to prioritize, because I know the people I surround myself with are busy. They're participating in sports. They're participating in like band. They're working, but they're also taking 4 APs at a time, which means that they're staying up until midnight almost every night doing homework. And at that point, is it worth it to push back the start time, to push back the time in the afternoon that they have to complete those activities?
Yeah, I think those are the questions we'll have to take a really long, hard look at. But you're exactly right. Hearing from students will be paramount for us.
Yeah, everyone's in different boats, and
There's not black and white. There's very different
it's
facets
funny.
we gotta look at. So
Anecdotally, I mean, I think it's on one of the moms' Facebook groups, and someone started a thread saying, we got to do this. Kids start too early. A couple of people rallied around that person, and then immediately others came in and said, are you kidding? It's great the way it is. Don't touch it. And very quickly, they all realized like what we're going to have to deal with, right? Which is there's no one right answer. If you make a change, half the town is not going to be happy. So,
well, it's only fair that we
It's
at some point confront a controversial topic.
yeah, right. It's been so easy the past for
That can be
years.
discussed on Facebook. That's great. It's about time.
Yeah. So yeah, let's do that. Let's like get our new team in place and then quickly move to come up with a plan and execute. Sounds good.
all right, sounds good. That moves us on to new business. Lynn Snow is going to give us a little presentation on Carous.
So you're a dancer.
I know, I'm third the Jeopardy.
Yeah. Go to jazz, man. Jazz choir.
Steve Mark would have this thing going like
Yeah.
that.
Come on.
Not really. Most of the time. So many interconnections over this network.
Should we talk about Justin?
It's kind of sad and lonely without him.
Yeah.
It is.
Miss you, Justin.
I would go that far.
Allison's on.
Yeah, I think they're driving.
Yeah.
Gen 2, hands on the wheel.
Come on,
Come on,
started?
Yes.
Sure.
So earlier this month, Littleton Public Schools approved a contract with Carous to provide care coordination services for Littleton to promote community access to mental health care and support student well-being and learning. Carous is designed to work alongside the school's multi-tiered systems of support and to help schools triage and support student mental health needs and provide a confidential wraparound resource for staff members and families. Carous provides multilingual 24/7, 365 assistance in finding quality local mental health and substance use programs and counseling services. Carous also provides data on community mental health needs and access to care and case tracking for referring school staff members. Their case navigation system taps into a vast database of mental health care resources to provide a match with therapists and programs based on insurance location, mental health concerns, and other parameters, regardless of income level. So Carous is a mental health coordination service on a mission. The existing mental health system is broken. There is many issues within the mental health field. People should not be waiting extended periods of time to see counselors or access outpatient or inpatient programs. Mobile crisis programs, while well-intended as a concept, there's frequently lack of availability and long wait times. On many occasions, people in crisis are waiting in ER emergency rooms, waiting for a bed, and there are many limitations based on socioeconomic status, as well as other factors. So Carous' mission is to ensure that every person with mental health or substance use challenges can quickly find quality care matched to their unique needs regardless of circumstances. And Carous is currently working with over 400 school districts nationally. So there are three main elements to the platform. The warm handoff. This process allows faculty and mental health staff to ensure students connect to community-based services quickly while receiving real-time student status updates. Care companions are a highly trained multilingual team with experience in navigating barriers to accessing mental health care. They have an availability to serve staff and families 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And then Care Match is a proprietary web-based system that works alongside existing systems of support to help people anonymously find verified care in minutes. So Carous helps to navigate the chaos of mental health systems to quickly find quality care. So the process starts with a person needing help, and then the chaos begins and ensues. There's social stigma attached to sometimes seeing counselor or access and support. There are barriers with navigating insurance. There's lack of knowledge sometimes in knowing available resources. Many practices are at capacity or have very long wait times. Wait lists are another challenge. needing to seek referrals. There are language barriers, the specialization and the fit, finding a counselor that matches you and has an ability to build a rapport. That can also be a big challenge. And you have to navigate all of those pieces prior to being able to find a provider who's willing to help. So Carous makes finding help easy and will follow up to ensure satisfaction. And so it starts with a person looking for help. Step one is there's quick matching to suited providers. The next step is that Carous makes calls to confirm fit and wait times. They then facilitate appointments and transition to care, so then the person gets help. They also then provide follow-up to ensure satisfaction. Carous also has a very robust data platform and dashboard, and they track key performance indicators. The following key performance indicators are defined as the first one being inquiries received. They track all of the inbound phone calls, emails, video chats from community members. The communications are saved, all outbound calls, emails, and texts by the team as they coordinate care. They track new cases and form handoffs. So all referrals from school staff and community members who contacted Carous directly for help making an appointment.
So Lynn, I'm sorry, Jerome. So they'll track that, but will your office have access to that as well?
We do. There's a dashboard on the platform, and I'm going to, next slide. Yeah, I think it's next slide. And then the total appointments into care. The care coordinator spoke to a community member and confirmed they booked an appointment. The national average for someone receiving resources and searches on their own is 18%. And then it also tracks anonymous searches completed by community members through the proprietary link. So this is the Carous platform dashboard. So as you can see, they track a variety of different indicators. So they do look at the age groups, they look at the ethnicities, they look at the genders, they look at the different needs, the mental health disorders based on the referral questions or the referral content that is shared. And so then it also helps us, track that so that then it can inform what we need to do to improve our practices as well. So at an upcoming meeting, we would like to update the school committee and larger school community on implementation of the program and share Carous' data on utilization, including student, staff, and family mental health and substance use needs, and community staff feedback from the initial use of the program. So what I can say is that we did our initial onboarding call, I think it was 2 weeks ago. Last week, we did our initial onboarding training with the admin council team and our clinical team. And so we went live just a few days ago, and there are already 63 communications saved. Our counselors have already conducted 2 warm handoffs. Family initiated cases, we have 3, and there has already been 12 anonymous searches. And it's really important to take that into consideration because Meredith was talking about the SOS. And so just at the middle school, there are more than 30 students that were recommended for additional support as a result of that survey.
The anonymous searches is that's something I could do and
Using
search for, I need a provider to
proprietary
help with these things.
Yep.
Okay.
So there are two different routes. So we have a personalized URL, which is carousalis.com /Littleton, and that information will be pushed out later this evening, but principals have already been sharing that out, our counselors have as well. But in a formal way, we'll be sharing out family and staff letters. And so we can handle a warm handoff on behalf of the family. They provide us with verbal consent, and then we can enter the information just to lessen that burden for families. But parents also have the ability to use Care Match, which is the anonymous search where they go on and they will track the data for us, but it won't be matched to a specific name.
So it's anonymous to the district,
But we still have the data, it's just not linked to an individual student name. If we do a warm handoff with the consent of the family, then on the dashboard, we see all of the cases and all of the data tracked in real time that says there's been 15 texts that have been sent. There have been 11 providers that have been matched. They have an appointment scheduled, and then after they have an appointment scheduled, the care companion will follow up after the appointment to find out if it went well, if it was a match, or if they want additional matches, because with this there's unlimited referrals.
But I guess my question is, the anonymous part is the district doesn't know which student, but the family has the full functionality. So
Correct.
I think
Yes,
that's
absolutely. And so just before we kind of have a little bit more conversation, I did want to just share a couple little points. On May 24th, we do have the review of the 2022 YRBS results, so that will be helpful information for us to have going forward as well. In addition to that, on April 28th at 6 p.m., we do have a parent information night at Littleton High School to share information about mental health services at LHS and plans for next year. And that's being facilitated by Dr. Tracy Turner and Melissa Benson at the high school. And so you can see that in more information on the LHS__ school counseling Instagram. And Dr. Turner will be tweeting that out as well, starting tomorrow, information about that. In addition, there's also a mental health fair that the town is putting on May 21st from 10 to 1 p.m. at Fay Park. And the rain date is May 28th.
So can I just take a back step, because this is all new to me, really sounds cool. So I'm understanding what you said, this is a platform that allows parents who have kids that might have mental or emotional issues to use this platform to be connected with a specialist.
Yes.
And the platform can help them find a specialist that can work with their health insurance, and helps
Work
them
with their-
navigate
yep.
the health
And
insurance.
they can set many criteria. So they can say, I'm looking for a male counselor or a female counselor. I'm looking for somebody that specializes in a certain area, or I'm looking for somebody within 15 to 20 miles, but we'll do in person only,
Right.
or within a
Remote
geographical, or we'll do telehealth and in person, or what can sometimes access assistance faster is by saying we are open to telehealth, because then it opens up their database wider.
So parents or maybe older students can access this platform. Now, what's the difference? I get the anonymous thing, that it's not personally identifiable, but they can either go through that would track the actual people involved, and you can see how it's
So,
all going.
Yep, so
or do it
all of
anonymous.
our principals, all of our administrators have registered an account, so they're able to do a warm handoff, as well as everyone on our clinical team. Myself, Beth, and Dr. Clenchey also have registered accounts, so any parent, any staff member can reach out to us, and we can help them with the warm handoff and do that on their behalf, or they can get our URL, the Care
/Littleton,
Care Solace.
Was this communicated yet, or this is all about to be communicated? This is all new to me.
This is
really
This
great.
is all new, so
Okay,
there are a few neighboring districts that we've been connecting with that have started using us a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago at this point, and have had really positive feedback about it. And so Care Solace had reached out to us because there are other districts in the community. And I do get, multiple soliciting emails, all the time. And this was definitely one that caught our eyes. And so we had scheduled just an initial call to get more information. And we were really impressed by many elements of the platform. The 24/7, 365 is huge, because we do have Project Interface, but Project Interface has experienced a lot of bottlenecks, a lot of extended wait times, and lack of capacity. And so we really wanted to do this to see if this is something that we can either supplement or utilize going forward. So right now we've contracted until the end of the school year.
okay. It's test period.
Yeah.
That's great. I'm interested to see.
I'm sorry, so one of the things that you shared last night at the CPAC meeting was just the idea that sometimes you can't deal with this till 9:30 at night. And the idea that you can sit down and send, I think you said, you send something in and 15 minutes later someone calls.
Yeah,
and-
so in my
amazing.
own personal experience, I did my own referral for myself using the Care Match platform before we had our registered accounts. And so I was contacted within 15 minutes, and this was at like 9 o'clock at night. And I had matches within 5 days, and I have an appointment for an intake on the 21st.
That's amazing. No, that's great.
And so as a parent who you can imagine, so you're sitting there, it's 9:30 at night, you're finally just thinking about, okay, what do we do here? The idea that you can get a call back.
Yes.
And
you
maybe
can
not every time, but
communicate
within
with them
30
via-
minutes, and they
Yep,
said
via
they
text
texted the
as
next
well.
morning.
Yep.
Just
And the Care Companion texted me each day to say we're still working on matches. And then after I received matches and I set up an intake, they followed up with me with a text wanting to know if I had set up an intake appointment. So I was really impressed, but I also wanted to know if what they say that they're able to do, they're
Right.
able to do, and they really were. And so that was really impressive to me.
It's great.
That sounds awesome. Very exciting. I know working with students with emotional needs that they can be on waiting lists for weeks, if not months, trying to get a therapist. So anything we can do to hasten the process and get them what they need sooner, I'm all for.
I have one more question, I guess, in the comment is, so it's therapists, but it's also like partial hospitalization placements and stuff like that. It's the full range of kind of mental health supports.
So they're not an emergency crisis. So if you're so they still will refer you to call 911 if there is an individual that's in active crisis. But they do based on what you are requesting as far as service, inpatient programs, outpatient programs, partial programs, and counseling, family counseling, individual counseling, couples counseling. And this service is open to all of our students and their families, and all of our staff and their families. Right.
I'll just say, this committee charged the district with doing whatever we can to help address the mental health concerns that we think are in our community. I think it's a fantastic response.
Me
So
too.
thanks to whoever was involved in this. It
Yeah.
sounds great.
It's
Stellar.
incredible fun.
So you mentioned like it would like lower the wait time, but like how? I guess my question is, there's the referral program obviously, and for those partial hospitalizations, for those therapists, for those programs, but how would that logistically avoid the wait times?
Because of their robust database. So sometimes, families are willing to travel great distances, but they don't have a network or have connections to many families would say, to have my child enrolled in a partial, I would drive
Right.
45 minutes or an hour, but they only know what's
We
in their
know.
close network. Being able to, telehealth has really opened up a lot of opportunities as well. And some of the other barriers too is when parents are calling, they're going on to psychology.com or Project Interface and you get a list, then it's your responsibility to start cold calling these places. And you're leaving voicemails and you're waiting for a call back, and that's stressful. You already have a situation that's stressful going on. And if you get through down a road, and then you get a call back after you do an intake, and then they say, oh, well, sorry, we don't accept your insurance. This is all done by the care companions on the front end, which was a huge advantage that I saw to the program. Because when you enter all the information, you enter what health insurance provider you have, so that they're only going to give you matches that accept your insurance.
Yeah.
Or if you don't have insurance, or if you have Mass Health, they're going to match with providers that are credentialed that accept Mass Health. It's huge.
Still, I think we asked that question to the person initially in our first meeting, like 3 different ways, because we were like, but how?
Yes.
Like, how do you, like, so your question, we asked the exact same, and we've been impressed with their responses.
In some ways, it's just, you're paying someone to be persistent on the district is paying people to be persistent on our behalf, on behalf of our families. To be the ones making the follow-up calls, to building their relationships, to be a concierge.
And
advocate.
exactly, and that's the biggest struggle too, is parents are making a call and then they're working.
Yeah.
And so then when they get the call back and they're in the middle of an appointment, a meeting, seeing a client, they're not able to then take that call, which then causes more
Really.
wait.
Yeah, you're just outsourcing all that headache and work to people who have a database who do this every day,
Who
all
know what they're
day.
doing,
They
yeah.
know what they're doing. They're like experts. It's amazing.
And
Why
one
hasn't
of
this
the-
existed for years? It's great.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
One of the huge advantages too, specifically to this platform, is the follow-up and the unlimited referrals. So if you get to an appointment where you have an appointment, and this is one of the things that's really, really challenging, is that if you feel like, well, this is my only option, but it's not a match, it's not a fit, it doesn't, you don't gel with the therapist, they're going to follow up with you and say, how did the appointment go? And you're able to say, I went to the appointment, but I didn't match with this therapist. They'll start the loop again.
This is fantastic.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
I guess my final question is, you said the word's going out to
The last one's your
families.
final question.
Yeah.
This is a follow-up to
You
Jim's.
can ask as many
Yeah.
questions as you want.
No, it's just like, how do we get the word out, right?
So-
And so, or how are we gonna get the word out?
So Dorothy has an all staff and an all staff and an all family email drafted, and we'll be sending out as soon as this is.
I'll point out that the sending the email out on Good Friday or the Friday before vacation is probably not the best time to get everybody's attention. And so I hope we can follow up with this.
Oh, yes,
We could descend and put it on our website.
there's gonna be a lot of materials pushed out to families in a variety of different ways, and I didn't touch on that, but that's also another advantage of the program, is the resource, the consumable resources and marketing materials that they provide. This Care Solace PowerPoint presentation was provided by Care Solace, and I'm just the person sharing the information. They also have postcards that we can send home to families. They have, press releases. They have all of the imaging and logging that we'll be pushing out on our website as well in the coming weeks.
My guess is once word gets out, that word of mouth and
Yeah.
social media pages will share about this. But
Yeah.
anything we can do, if all we've seen as a committee is that it's a community in crisis in a lot of ways, and this seems like a great way to help our community. So
Yeah.
let's make sure everybody knows about it. Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you, Lynn.
Excellent, excellent. All right, that brings us to interested citizens. Do we have any hands raised, Dorothy? Okay, bring them on.
Matthew Rich, please state your name, your question, and your street, please. Matthew Rich,
Hello. Can you hear me now?
your street and your question.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure because I wasn't given I didn't get the option originally to talk. Matthew Ridge, 325 Great Road. Two major questions. With this program that was just spoken about, it's good. Don't get me wrong. I appreciate that with the parents getting involved. But I have a question. What happens if this happens at school? Like a child has a nervous breakdown or something along the lines where the parents aren't involved immediately. What are the steps for the school to actually get the parents involved? Because there are going to be certain situations where parents need to know what's going on inside the school.
Can I respond? Is that parents are always involved. If there's a student in crisis, parents are immediately contacted by either a school administration or our clinical team. If the student needs to be referred for evaluation, we work closely with the parents on that.
Okay. Because one of the things I'm worried about is that with what's been going on in the media and things of the sort, I just want to make sure that we have full confidence that us as parents will be involved in all situations because they're our children. The other thing is that with the school times, I agree it might be early, but the one thing with my 2 cents on it, I think it should stay as is only because of the fact that as adults, the parents themselves are not given any leeway when it comes to actually getting into work. And not every parent has the ability to actually work from home, especially with how COVID has now been given second fiddle. We are now going back into the workforce, and most of us actually have to wake up at the same time our kids do. And we also have to make sure that they're on the bus and everything in time. And I'll tell you right now, my wife has 15 minutes to get to work when my son gets to school. He gets on the bus. Thankfully, she's 15 minutes away, but I also work in Boston. I don't have that luxury. So if I actually was stuck at home doing this, I wouldn't be able to do it any further. In other words, any later. So I would appreciate if we actually try keeping it as early as it is, because it actually keeps into consideration parents as well as the children. And I agree, children probably shouldn't be having a test that early in the morning, but well, I mean, I'm not going to say how late kids also stay up at night too, because because I've seen some kids stay up very late at night, including my own sometimes by accident. So that's just my 2 cents. Thank you.
Dylan Clark, please state your name, your street, and your question, please.
Sorry, my son must have been on my account. This is Tasha Clark from Tuna Show Betrayal. It would either show up his name or Littleton PTA, so that was the better one. This is actually going back to the talk about the school choice a little, and I know you already voted, but I share Brad and Justin's concerns about the incoming kindergarten class, and also looking at some of the numbers of the other classes. And I heard Dr. Clenchy say that there is a possibility they might take one of the second grade teachers and move them to first. I have an incoming kindergartner, gonna be a second grader. I also have someone in the bubble class with that high number of going into 5th grade, and I'll have a middle schooler. So I kind of hit all those points. And I'm concerned with the second grade teacher potentially moving, where that number is 7. So if you get those 7 school choice students in and then take away a teacher, that's giving that class 23 students, which is what you were trying to avoid in the class underneath. And that class currently has, I think, 18-ish in the classes. So it seems that we're getting a lot more students into the schools right now, even though the numbers aren't, but there's lots of houses for sale, and I man a lot of the Facebook pages for incoming parents, and there's always like lots of questions and stuff of people moving. So I'm concerned, and I agreed to lower the number for that incoming kindergarten class, because if that number stays the same, that class in 1st grade will also be 23 students, which I think is getting on the high end. And then when would they decide to move that teacher from 2nd to 1st? Like, what's the threshold that they would decide that 1st grade class needs the teacher more than 2nd grade?
I can partially answer that, and then I'm going to ask Mrs. Kane to as well. We're really looking at, again, how many more students, if any, come in. We don't think we're going to need to do that, but we don't know who may move in the summertime. And we're hoping that people will go back to contacting us right away, even when they have a purchase and sale agreement, so that we have an idea of what's coming in. We really try to keep our classes K to 5 under 25. It's a projection, a prediction, so to speak. So, and I'm going to ask Mrs. Kane at this point in time to chime in as well, because Mrs. Kane actually gives me the recommendations in terms of how the school should be configured.
Yeah. Hi, Dr. Clenchy. I was just looking at the numbers. I just wanted to give me 1 second. So, it does put us at 23. Mrs. Clark is right. It would put us at 23 in 2nd grade. So as far as when we would make that decision, I probably wouldn't make that decision until the summer. I need to look at summer enrollment.
And that's kind of only my concern with voting, that they could put in 7 more with the school choice, because that adds to that. That's at least 1.5 per classroom. So I like what they were saying with the COVID concerns. And my student did full remote. Like, I think a lot of these students do need that extra attention. And I've been in the classrooms in kindergarten and other grades, and you can see like there's still extra help needed. So I think trying to maintain that as low a number as possible is very important.
Another thing we could do, Tash, is add another teacher, hire another teacher. There is that option as well.
So if we did that, and I am frequently in the school where I know Shaker Lane is up for all the remodeling or rebuilding somewhere, but I think we probably at a max in that school right now for the classrooms. So would that be like a mobile thing that they'd have to add on?
Well, we'd have to look at the rooms that we've dedicated to specials and take a look at that. I mean, that's always the consideration when you're looking at these things, a physical space, what can we do to reorganize? And sometimes, in this case, there are some limitations. So we do have to be cautious as we work with the enrollments that we have. We have done enrollment studies for many years, and we haven't to this point in time. Doesn't mean it's going to change. Had a lot of concerns about rising enrollments in our grades. There are bubble grades. There are bubble grades in every district. And there are circumstances that happen that are beyond our control, and we respond to them when they happen.
Thank you.
Well, thanks, Tasha. Okay, that brings us to subcommittee reports. Currently don't have a member from CNBC. So I'll move to budget subcommittee.
No updates today.
Okay. Policy.
We have several policies to review for the first reading. And if it's helpful, I can walk you through. They're fairly minimal changes to our existing policy.
Yep.
It's probably worthwhile drawing attention to them. And a special thanks to Dorothy for helping me figure out what's going on, but also processing it. So the first policy before us is Bcaa, the School Committee Member Authority. We looked at the MSCA website. This policy is unchanged. This is just a clear-cut statement of what the authorities are of school committee members. And so as a policy, I guess subcommittee, we recommend that we keep it as is because it seems to be working. The next one, Bcaa, Schoolman Committee Member Ethics. I'll check my notes. The only changes to this policy based compared to our previous policy is pronouns. They were all masculine pronouns, refer to chairman, is, this, and that. And so we're just using gender neutral pronouns, but the ethics, the code of ethics remains exactly the same. The suggestion from this committee is that we consider making those updates but keeping the same ethical standards. The third one about the organizational meeting, again, a lot of it's pronouns. So it's going from chairman to chair, from vice chairman to vice chair. And interestingly enough, they suggest going from secretary to clerk. So we adopted that language just because that's the suggestion. I have no strong opinion. I don't think secretary is a gender term. But this proposed language incorporates those changes that the MSCA suggests. And I think that's the only suggested change there. The fourth one, is this the okay way to go through this now?
Yeah.
Okay. The fourth one is the officers, and it's the same general thing, I think. Hold on a second. No. Chairman becomes chair. Secretary becomes clerk. The only difference between the suggested policy and our policy in this one is number 8 on the presiding officer. I think it's this one. Duties, the chair. There's something about reports. Was that where we suggested? Am I missing this?
Oh, right, the yearly.
There was
report,
something
yes.
about keeping reports, and I'm not seeing it right here, where it had been in our previous language and it wasn't in the suggested.
I took the MASC one, I thought we took.
Yeah. So my note. So maybe if we want to table this one, the suggestion that we adopt this language that incorporates the MSCA suggestions in terms. But also we had the chair will provide reports as requested by the town. It's just, it's language we had before and it seemed to reflect our understanding of the job of the chair. If we want to look at that actual language, come back to it, or we can revisit it at second reading, is that appropriate? Just that's a note this is the language we have in front of us suggested by the MSCA. As a subcommittee, we thought we liked the language for our previous policy.
Do you want me to read number 8? I just pulled it up.
Yeah. Do you mind reading it, Dorothy?
No. Write the annual report for the town report and will render such other reports as may be required by the town.
I already do that.
Well, that's the thing. And so we want to, you know, you're leaving and the next person, who's gonna be chair, we want just to have the job description fit the actual responsibilities. And so, we'll have this policy subcommittee, I'll suggest we keep that language because that's something the town expects from the school committee. And then BD, what's the last one? The next one, BDD. No changes. We reviewed it and thought this is an accurate and up-to-date explanation of the school committee superintendent relationship. And same thing for BDE, which is about the subcommittees. In this language, we do choose to form a subcommittee about start times. It's going to be useful language for us to revisit in terms of, you know, Jen, we're talking about policy procedure, make sure we're doing this by the book. This will be probably good language for us to revisit if we decide to do that. And then the final one before the committee tonight is policy JHA, which we amended to include, to reflect the vote we took last time about including the Diwali as a religious holiday.
Great.
And so those are the suggested changes from the policy subcommittee.
Okay.
Thank you.
If there's no further discussion, I'll accept the motion to accept the first reading of the following modified policies: BBAA, BCA, BDA, BDB, BDD, BDE, and JHA.
I'll move to accept all of those. I'm not going to repeat them.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We do require a brief executive session. Oh, sorry, it's not on there, that's why.
Yeah, no, just want to report that CPAC had a really active and engaged kind of parent informal gathering last night. Probably up to 20 people were there, followed by a very successful business meeting. There's going to be elections on June 14th. It's already starting to plan the trainings and meeting topics for the next year. So anybody who has something, hey, I wish we could talk more about this, please let the CPAC members know. And had some really good ideas about things ranging from back to school nights and other stuff. It was a very effective, I think, well-run, well-attended meeting.
Great.
Great.
Good. We do require a brief executive session for the purpose of contract negotiations. So at this point, I'll accept the motion to move into executive session for the purpose of contract negotiations with no intention to return to open session.
So move.
Second,
Motion made and seconded. This is a roll call vote. Brad?
Brad Austin, yes.
Jen?
Jen Gold, yes.
Matt Hunt votes yes as well. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Thanks, y'all. Yeah.